And we are rolling on part 2 of our debate on the U.S. should unilaterally reduce carbon emissions regardless of whether China, India, and developing countries participate. Would you do the honor? Okay, this time we'll start with Sarah. Where is she? Oh, right. No, we'll start on this side, yeah. Oh, excuse me. The decision was 15 to 11 for the government.
This is beautiful.
Such a moment.
Hi, my name's Athena, and
Hi, Athena.
I voted for the government, and I thought both sides did a great job, and it was really hard, but I just felt like the government was really well prepared, not that you guys weren't, but you, during your refutation, I just felt that you backed up every point with evidence, whereas you guys maybe said, like, we already told you the evidence, but I'd just like to be reminded of it, and I just felt like the logic of their policy made a lot more sense, so that's ultimately why I yeah, great job.
Yeah, I hope the reputation is curbed. Yeah. Yes, please.
Hello. Okay, so I went
Name?
with Cameron.
Hi, Cameron.
I went with the government as well. First of all, I thought you killed it, Lily, as well. But, yes, I thought that obviously both sides did a really great job. I loved how you, like, didn't even read. Like, you were literally just talking. But, to some points I felt like it got a little casual, and like that's when I felt like I could follow your guys' side more, just because it felt a little bit more planned, like you said, and like I guess a little bit more well thought out. And I thought that like your like
No, I have her. I got
explanation
her.
of the whole carbon fee and dividend plan was just so like good, and it was just easy to follow ultimately. That's why I chose you. Yep.
Thank you, Cameron. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Ashley.
Hi, Ashley.
Hi. I also went with them as well. I thought both teams were really prepared, but you guys were prepared on the paper and out here. Like the way you guys spoke, especially Lauren. I really liked how even though like she kept giving the times, like how much time you had left, like you didn't really, like, yeah. Okay. I also liked the way that you guys had everything organized. It was really easy to go through. When I came in, I couldn't really understand, like, get to the point with your guys's, because Chandler, I know you kind of didn't like seem like on tone, like with everything you said. You kind of were like unsure with like small things compared to them. You guys just like went straight out. So that's why I did.
Okay, good. Yeah, they chose the counter plan, which was a little bit different. And maybe the counter plan wasn't as clear to everybody that it could have been. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
I ultimately voted for the government as well. I actually thought it was a really good debate. I thought it was a close debate. I thought the government was slightly more organized in their points. And I wasn't convinced by the opposition's argument that it would truly be a detriment to international relations and world relations should we pursue this unilateral reduction. And I thought that even if it was, that's not a strong enough reason to stop this if this really is an issue. And so I felt that they didn't really bring forth any other strong arguments. That was their main argument, which I wasn't fully convinced by. The cross-examination, this debate was the weirdest cross-examination I felt out of all the debates, because I think almost everyone, but especially the government, was giving speeches rather than asking questions. Let's see. Sabira, I thought you answered your cross-examination the best out of anyone. You were very confident, calm. You weren't reading from your paper at all. And you did a wonderful job. Chandler, I thought the way you spoke, your tone of voice, and your delivery was very easy to follow along with. I just wasn't fully persuaded by your argument of world international relations. Ascanio, I thought you had the best combination of delivery and evidence, and you kept my attention throughout as well. And I thought your reputation was very strong. And Lauren, I thought your evidence was probably the best out of anyone's, and probably the most out of anyone's. But sometimes I lost attention. I don't know why. Maybe because it was so much evidence at once. Overall, I thought everyone did great.
Thank you, Sarah. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Kyra.
Hi, Kyra.
Actually, Lauren, to me, you were the best speaker, and there are times when I listen to debates and I like space out, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get back to listening to this. But for yours, like, I never spaced out. You were so like clear and you projected really well, and it was just so easy to listen to. And Ascanio, I think you're so good at keeping your voice really level and consistent throughout, and you just seem so like calm and very professional, and that was like really great to watch. And Chandler, I think you're really good with your body language. You seem really open and like not nervous at all, even when you had to turn because you couldn't think of a certain word. Like, I would freak out if that was me, but I think you did like really good at handling that. And Subera, to me, your cross-examinations and your rebuttal were what ultimately won me to vote for the government side. So I forgot to say I voted for the government. And oh, the opposition. Sorry, like I said, I freak out when I get a word wrong. So the opposition, I think, just you were so, like, that clap back during your cross-examination was just so good.
No, I think I voted the
I think
opposite
you
of
just,
what
like, you spoke the most extemporaneously and, like, naturally, and even though that maybe, I think you said that kind of waned you a bit from the opposition side, that actually drew me more towards you. And I think the government side had a really well-structured and logical proposal, but I felt like there wasn't enough data and statistics to back that up. You had facts like in British Columbia, maybe they decreased in emissions but then increased in subsequent years, and also in previous proposals that were legally binding and multilateral proposals that were legally binding, China and India didn't actually agree with them, and those were significant contributors to carbon emissions, so not having them included would be like a really detrimental to the overall global health. So that to me was really convincing and showed me that the government didn't meet their burden of proof. So that was why I voted for you.
Oh, you okay?
Sorry, it was that.
Okay, good. Yes, please.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
I voted for the government side because I thought you guys had a very well-structured debate and argument. I thought Lauren did a really good job supporting what Ascanio said. I thought all of you guys were very calm, and you guys very assertive, knew what you were saying. Great pace for all of you guys. For a second, I did question the government side once I got to Sabera. I liked your rebuttal, was very well structured. Ultimately, I thought the government side kind of proved most of their arguments, and I also liked how you repeated the arguments that Ascanio was talking about, because it actually made me more focused and agreeing with Kara. I think I listened to everything you said, which is a first to all the other speakers. I think you're very engaging and really good speaker. So yeah.
Thank you. Let's go here. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Alan.
Hi, Alan.
I did something the professor probably hated. I actually did a low point win, where I thought Ascanio and Lauren were clearly more organized, and I thought they spoke much better. But to me, Sabera's points, especially about the fee and dividend plan, when she addressed that, if I got a $50 check, I'm not going to go buy a solar panel, I'm going to go spend it on gas. And so raising the prices of gas, to me that kind of really struck home, because that's almost a common sense thing that we don't really look at. That and only looking at 16% of the United States emissions versus looking at global emissions. Like Chandler said, it's global warming, so it's a global issue. We should take a multilateral approach. I thought just their arguments just made perfect sense. They clicked with me, and although they spoke a little bit more extemporaneously, a little more disorganized, the argument ultimately caught on. But you guys are great. Ascanio, when you first started speaking, I'm like, damn, cross-examination, you kind of got a little, I guess, snobby for what we're using, but I enjoyed it very much. Overall, it was a really close debate, though.
He's smug, remember?
Yeah, does everyone know what he means by a low point win? He gave them higher points but gave them the loss. That's a low point win. He gave them lower points, but he gave them the win. You look at this proposal, and in other classes in other years, students have argued that, look, I don't care what the U.S. does, you're still not going to get any net benefit from the U.S. taking all the actions in the world you want them to. If China and Japan and the third world countries are not doing it, we didn't really breathe on developing countries in this debate, but that was the big argument in other years, was solvency. You're not going to get any net reduction if the U.S. is the only one doing it. Let's go here.
Hi, John.
Hi, John.
The government side. I'm sorry, slow today. Mainly because of two reasons. Was the first one, I couldn't really be persuaded in the solvency of the multilateral global, the Paris treaty approach. I just kept having that Juan Lomborg article we read earlier in the quarter popping up in my head about how it was just insignificant, the total mass effort from all the nations. And then the second thing was that domestically reducing prices of solar panels below fossil fuels is a more viable strategy to have a tangible effect in the U.S. That really spoke to me. So that's why I voted for the government.
Okay, yeah. Yes, please.
Hi, my name is Leo.
Hi, Leo.
So while both parties, I thought, did a really good job, I thought this was one of the closest debates yet. I actually voted for the opposition because I felt that the government didn't meet their burden of proof, and also I really liked the way that I felt like this was kind of a new thing, and you mentioned about it, that the government actually, or the opposition introduced a counter policy, and I found it fairly easy to understand. I don't know why others didn't, and I actually really liked the counter policy, including the fact that you stated. I don't want to talk about everything else that was already stated to not waste time, but Ascanio, I thought it was really funny in the first part of your cross-examination where you started questioning Chandler. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, hilarious.
And then also, Chandler, I really liked. I already said that. I really liked your cross-examinations because it seemed like you had everything prepared. I think in terms of cross-examinations, I would say that you were the most prepared in asking the questions and really hitting the hard, the hard-hitting sources and really getting at them with that. And then Sabira, I thought that your argument was the strongest when you were using really strong points of evidence, and I did vote for you guys, but I feel like if you used more of that strong evidence, then you could really kind of focus us in. And it was a little confusing with the statistics. I think that if you kind of tried to dumb it down for us a little bit more, then it would be easier to understand.
Okay. Yes, please, in the rear.
Hi, I'm Aliana.
Hi, Aliana.
I voted for the government because I thought they did a great job of arguing together and really presented a cohesive plan to me that made a lot of sense. I really appreciated the logic with which they presented their argument, and Ascanio, you definitely got me when you started questioning her back, and I was like, oh crap, maybe he does know what he's talking about. And great job with eye contact. You did it. Ultimately, a big part of the decision for me was when they said the Paris Agreement wasn't legally binding, so people don't actually have to do anything, and that kind of just helped, add another point in their favor for me.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing that President Obama was most disappointed about, was that when he really wanted it not to be optional or voluntary, and when that was passed that way, everyone thought it was sort of a wishy-washy agreement anyway. Yes, please.
I voted for the government.
Name?
Hi, I'm Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hello. I voted for the government. Lauren, I think you were really good. I liked how you were strong and nice at the same time, because I feel like a lot of the time that's a hard balance, and you did that really well. Ascano, I think you did well also, but I wouldn't have said that logic is your source for one of them, because that kind of made me lose you, even though you did end up coming back. At first I was kind of like, oh, okay, like this isn't going to go well, but then it did, so. What else? Chandler, you did a really good job. You were really clear. Sabera, I didn't really follow your circle effect metaphor, and that's the point where I kind of like lost that side, because I was like, to be honest, it was already kind of hard for me to like keep up with what you guys were talking about, and then with that I was like, okay, I'm gonna get this, and then I just didn't, and then so ultimately I went with the government. But you guys all did a really good job, and it was a really close one for me.
Here we go. Let's get one here.
I'm gonna forget it if I don't see it.
Gotta go now.
Yeah. Okay. So I ultimately
Name.
Dana.
Hi, Dana.
Hi. I voted for the government because I thought that I think it was the same for like Aliana as it was for me. Like when Ascanio said that, like in the Paris Agreement, they are not obligated to, they don't necessarily have to follow it, and that's something that's like, oh, well then why are we even doing it if most people aren't going to follow it? And then the part about China still building fossil fuel plants, that was also a really strong argument, I thought. Lauren, I thought that you were the best speaker. You just did a really good job in like laying everything out in like an organized way. For you guys, I also thought that you were great. Sabera, I thought that you stood your ground like really well when you were being cross-examined, and it was almost like you anticipated the questions that you were going to be asked, which I thought is, like, I feel like a lot of us have been surprised up to this point, and I think you did a really good job of making sure you knew what you could possibly be asked. Chandler, I also thought you did a great job in presenting that, like, the economic, environmental, and, like, other ways that it wasn't going to be effective. But my one critique for you would probably be, like, that I thought sometimes when you tried to speak, like, extemporaneously, like, you lost me a little bit. So just, like, maybe practice that for next time or something. Really good job.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hi, I voted for the government, mainly for like the same reasons that were already stated, because Chandler's like original argument was like heavily based on the Paris Agreement. So then when it was mentioned that it was non-binding, that kind of made everything she said to me irrelevant. And then when Lauren came up and then brought like a clear plan and like really explained it, it sounded like really well thought out, and that ultimately made my decision to vote for the government.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm
Then
Matana.
we'll go back to you.
So I ultimately voted for the government, and the opposition brought in a lot of good points, but it was also like kind of hard to follow. And like with like the government, like Ascanio, like he spoke like very clearly with like eye contact, and he had like clear issues and like solutions for things. And he brought in like financial issues and like even like the contract that like others mentioned, that like he kind of illegitimized it. That like, oh, it's not really like legally binding anyways, and he had a lot of composure, and even in the cross examination also. Chandler, in the beginning you gave a lot of historical background, which is good, but then it wasn't like really getting to the point so much, and then you mentioned a lot about like unilateral and multilateral, and like you didn't really explain yourself right away, and you just kept repeating those words, and like maybe if you would get into it, that would have been a little better. You also like you answered well, and you had a lot of great points. And Lauren, you had a lot of great eye contact and very organized ideas. And also, I like the program that you mentioned, the dividend program, and that was very helpful. It was a clear plan. Sobera, you were really good with the cross-examinations and answering, and you like really seemed prepared, and like you knew what you were saying, and it wasn't like you're like reading off the paper. It's like really like it was something personal, and I really liked how you brought it forward. And yeah.
Okay, thank you. Behind you there.
Hi, my name is Genevieve.
Hi, Genevieve.
I voted for the government mostly for the reasons already stated, but particularly I think the biggest tipping point for me was Lauren. I think I thought the way she spoke was very clear throughout the whole thing, and especially towards the end. And then I agree with everyone else, the Paris Treaty, how it wasn't binding, so it kind of made the opposition have less of a defense, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I thought her reputation was spot on every critical point. So it's kind of tough after that. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and this was really close, but I ultimately went with the opposition. And for me, there was like two debates going on. There was one, the U.S. Senator debate, which I thought the government won, and then the international debate, which I thought the opposition won. And Ascania opened up by did a really good job of shitting on the rest of the world, to say the least. Then Lauren came back with like this America First policy, which I thought, that sounds great, right? And then the opposition came along and like really emphasized the point, like, we're all still neighbors, we're in the era of globalism, and no matter what, we're still joined at the hip. And regarding the Paris Treaty, I think they made a really good point of like, some cooperation is still better than no cooperation, and that, I think, won the argument for me.
Great, yeah. Just not to put too fine a point on it, but when you were thinking of negative strategies, why did you feel you needed to counterplan, or what other strategy did you consider?
Well, this one's already stacked, so that kind of was the main thing we're going off. Like, the Paris Treaty or Paris Agreement is actually in play, everyone. Like, it's not something that just came out of nowhere or something that was thought of. It really is in play.
In existence.
Yeah, it came in 2016, so it's already happening.
Well, and additionally, I felt very strongly that because so many countries adhered to it, I definitely could have structured my argument a little more soundly, but with more sources, but I read many articles that indicated that the fact that it was so unprecedented that 195 countries had agreed to ratify, I thought that was a very big deal, because nothing like that has ever happened before. So I probably could have put that more into our argument and made it a little more sound, but I thought a counterplan was the best strategy because the Paris Treaty seemed to solve the issue of...
So you thought you were sort of had real presumption with this, with all the 195.
What's that?
You thought you had real presumption with 195.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That was a good thing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Can you
Okay,
do
yes,
me?
please.
Wait, I'd like to go.
Oh, okay. You'd like to go.
Abby's turn.
Hi, I'm Abby.
Hi, Abby.
I ultimately voted for the opposition, but I'm going to make some like really specific points that I found. Ascanio, they're mostly critiques. I'm sorry. You guys are great. You guys are great, but like I'll bring in some. I thought you weren't really like listening to Chandler during the cross-examination. I thought you guys were having like separate cross-examinations, which was kind of weird. Lauren, I thought the dividend plan, which you guys should have attacked because like I only have to go off what you say, so like this is just outside source. I don't know if I understood this correct, but like it didn't really make sense to me if like some people take public transportation and someone drives a Hummer, like they're both getting paid later, these dividends. Like,
I mean,
is kind of confusing, but I don't, okay. Chandler, I thought this kind of related to what he said. Like, I wrote down you just kind of, like, rode the coattails of the Paris Agreement, and I thought you could have, like, said why their stuff was wrong. And then Sabera, I thought you sounded the most knowledgeable about what, like, you were talking about in terms of talking extemporaneously. Like, yes, I thought you guys were great speakers, but at the end of the day, you were looking at your briefs a lot, and it's cool to think someone, like, really knows what's going on, because, like, I bet a lot of us really don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, let's go here to this gentleman. What?
5 minutes, so...
We have plenty of time to hear you.
Okay. Well, I wish I didn't have to choose sides. You guys were all really impressive. Ultimately, I came down on the government side, and what it landed on was the strength of the cross-examination and rebuttal, because you guys both made great points, and there was a lot of refutation on both sides, which was great. But ultimately, the preponderance of evidence sort of shifted to the government side. So, congratulations.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Yunshen.
Hi, Lucian.
Hi, Yunshen.
Yushin?
Okay, yeah.
Hi, Yushin.
So yeah, both sides were impressive, but I sided with the opposition because I feel like the government didn't meet their burden of proof specifically. I feel like even though the government has shown there will be reduction in unilateral action, but I don't know how much the reduction is if we measure it at a global scale, right? Unilateral reductions only in US, it is only 16% of the total emission, which is mentioned by Silvera. So this is one point that the government didn't respond. So I feel like I'm hesitating. Another thing is Silvera refuted really well when she says like the British Columbia's reduction is actually based on recession, and the government didn't actually go further on that, because I feel like this is the proof you use to support that the unilateral reduction is actually effective. But when they provide evidence about like why it is not effective, it's not due to it's not due to unilateral reduction, you guys didn't prove it back. So I feel like overall they poke more holes onto your onto your arguments. But yeah, like you did a really good job. It's like well organized, well structured, and I like them better just because their arguments are stronger.
Good, those are good reasons. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Christine. So I guess I did another low point when I'm siding with the opposition as well. The government, I thought you guys spoke really well. Lauren, you were great at speaking. I liked your structure of your arguments, and Escanio, you too. You spoke very clearly, and it was very easy to follow along. But what ultimately won me over was Silvera, your ability to reason through poking holes into their arguments, and your cross-examination was really great. So that's why I went with you guys. My critique for you guys, though, is I think that you were trying to be a little too extemporaneous, and I feel like that kind of detracted from your organization, so it was a little harder to follow along. But again, your arguments, I think, are really what won it over for me. So.
Okay, Mr. Louie.
Hi, I'm Louie. I went with the opposition for pretty much the exact same reasons, actually. I thought you guys were better speakers probably overall. On the government side, you were much more well organized. It was easy to follow, but I don't think that I think that they did a better job overall kind of saying this is why a multilateral approach is better because of these reasons, and a unilateral approach is a bad one because of these reasons. And I thought that that was kind of at the core of it. I think you guys did a really good job laying out a policy that was more convincing, but that policy I don't think went back to enough the unilateral versus multilateral. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Karina.
Hi, Karina.
And I voted for the opposition because I thought they did the best during their cross-examinations. And their presentation won me over, especially with Silvera when she said that all public bodies should share information technology, which I think which is a great idea, I think. And also, Espana, you wouldn't show your source to Chandler when she asked repeatedly, which kind of made me doubt your credibility in a way. But I think everybody did a great job, so good job.
Susie Q.
Hey. Hey guys, I voted for the opposition ultimately. Silvera, you were amazing. I think you did great during your cross-examination. You offered new innovative ways to cope with this framework given to us, and you seriously got me thinking about the future of our climate change. You met the criteria you stated, and while proposing reasonable goals as well. You smoked Lauren in your cross-examination. Oh, I already said that. Loved how you brought about the recession thingy in Colombia, British Columbia. Your $50 example, like, I got it. Your circle example, I got it. So yeah, Chandler, your cross-examination was great. I loved Escanio's face of IDK when you were like, okay, give me a source. When you asked for okay. Your outfit's super cute. You spoke with confidence and lots of grace, and you persuaded me to believe the topic. And yeah, Escanio, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt with your legitimate sources. You spoke kind of monotonic, a little blandly. Lauren, you spoke quickly. Some of your points I couldn't follow along. They were kind of fuzzy to me, but overall you guys did a good job.
Thank you. Okay, we're out of time, but thank you, everyone. Our work is done. Oh.